Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I would like to start by thanking Speaker Menon, Finance Chair Linda Lee, and the entire City Council for their partnership. And I want to thank Sharif Suleiman, my Director of the Office of Management and Budget, as well as the entire OMB team for their incredible hard work and their devotion to our city. 21 weeks ago, I spoke directly to New Yorkers about the scale of the massive budget crisis that we had inherited. It was January. Snow lay on the ground. Our city was reckoning with a $12 billion deficit, a fiscal crisis larger than any since the Great Recession. For too long, New York City had relied on budgeting tricks instead of budgeting honestly. Costs were hidden, fiscal cliffs were ignored, difficult decisions were deferred for someone else to make. We chose a different path. 14 weeks later, after long nights and painstaking work, we presented an executive budget that brought that $12 billion gap down to zero. We balanced the budget without asking working New Yorkers to shoulder the burden once again. We balanced the budget without slashing the services that New Yorkers rely on, the cultural institutions and public transportation that connect people to the city and to one another. And we balanced the budget by governing with a fiscal responsibility that has been absent for far too long from City Hall. We scoured for savings. We found efficiencies and streamlined city government. We refused to repeat the mistakes that created the crisis in the first place. We budgeted honestly. We accounted for the real costs facing our city. And we began building a government that plans for tomorrow instead of pretending that it will never come. We worked closely with Governor Hochul and our partners in both Albany and here at the City Council. And we raised taxes on the wealthiest New Yorkers instead of taking more from those with the least. Throughout this process, I've been reminded of the words of the Austrian economist Friedrich Hayek. If socialists understood economics, they wouldn't be socialists. If these past months have shown us anything, it is that socialists not only understand economics just as well as the capitalists who came before, but that we can solve their years of mismanagement through an embrace of our principles. There is nothing fiscally responsible about balancing the budget on the backs of working people. Today, 6 weeks after presenting our executive budget, I am proud to stand alongside Speaker Menon and the City Council to announce that we have successfully negotiated an agreement on a final adopted budget. We have worked together to usher in a new era of fiscal health for our city, one that is sustainable, one that is durable, and one that makes needed investments in a safer, more affordable New York. I've spoken at great length about building a new culture of government excellence. I am proud that this budget reflects that very commitment. This is a $125.8 billion budget for fiscal year 2027. It makes historic investments in affordable housing by expanding rental assistance and creating a new $175 million housing voucher program for New Yorkers in need. We are not just helping tenants. We are helping homeowners as well, as we expand the homeowner help desk, and we're supporting those who have endured domestic violence as we fund housing stability microgrants. We are looking out for our students, including students with disabilities who have too often been left behind. And we're supporting our CUNY students both in school and beyond, with investments like CUNY's Reconnect, which helps adult New Yorkers return to school and get their degrees, as well as disability services, academic support, and so much more. And we are making public transit more affordable for low-income New Yorkers by increasing the baseline for fare fares by $54 million. This budget makes meaningful investments in the health and safety of New Yorkers. As we prepare to mark 25 years since the horrific September 11th terror attacks, we are committing more than $34 million to create a public portal that will finally release documents from across city government related to post-9/11 air quality and health risks. For too long, New Yorkers who have become sick have had to fight for information that should have been theirs from the very beginning. We will provide the transparency that New Yorkers living with post-9/11 health concerns deserve. We are strengthening mental health services across our city. No, it's good. Working with the Progressive Caucus, we are making sweeping investments in mobile mental health treatment and crisis-to-care programs, including crisis respite centers. And in a time where too many of our fellow New Yorkers are reckoning with discrimination, we will increase the budget of the New York City Commission on Human Rights, as well as support our immigrant communities by growing the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs Legal Support Hotline. And we are committing to the public institutions that make New York City the greatest city in the world. We will invest $10 million in each of the next 3 fiscal years to create a cultural stability fund to help arts organizations weather financial emergencies. And we are baselining funding for the Parks Department that had previously been added 1 year at a time, funding more than 100 new staff and allowing us to invest in our community gardens and tree stump removal. In addition, we are creating a new parks pilot program called Renew Crew to fix up playgrounds, basketball courts, and the fields where New Yorkers spend their summers. Finally, we are adding $350 million to the city's general reserve, proof positive of our commitment to governing with fiscal responsibility. Above all else, this budget offers a roadmap for the years to come. This is only the first budget of our administration. Many more will follow, and every budget that follows will build on the principles established here: honest budgeting, fiscal discipline, transparent government, and an unwavering belief that working people deserve a city hall that delivers for them every single day. We will return to this budget as a reminder of how much more is made possible when we shake off the shackles of the status quo and pursue the transformative change that New Yorkers deserve. That means finding efficiencies, it means cutting waste, and it means taxing the rich. We will return to this budget when we are told, as we so often are, that we must budget with austerity rather than ambition. And we will return to this budget as a model of how to invest in our city, how to place working people at the heart of our political decisions, and how to govern with an enduring commitment to fiscal health and fiscal responsibility. Thank you. And now I would like to invite City Council Speaker Julie Menin to the podium.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. I really want to thank you and your whole team for your partnership to get us to this momentous moment. And I really want to thank my colleagues in the City Council, first led by our incredible Finance Chair, Linda Lee. Members of our budget negotiating team, members of our leadership team, and let me just acknowledge our colleagues who are here. Councilmember Shulman, Councilmember Riley, Deputy Leader Banks, Councilmember Zhuang, Councilmember Jinowitz, our Majority Whip Hanks, our Majority Leader Abreu, Councilmember Narcisse, Councilmember Krishnan, Councilmember Wilson, our Deputy Whip Encarnacion, Councilmember Aldebal, our Deputy Leader Councilmember Sandra Ung, Councilmember Brewer, Councilmember Mealy, Councilmember Maloney, Councilmember Thomas Henry, Councilmember Wong, Councilmember Sanchez, Councilmember Hankerson, Councilmember Epstein, Councilmember Lewis, Councilmember De La Rosa, Councilmember Farias, Councilmember Salam. Did I get everyone? I think so. Okay, wonderful. Okay, great. Now, I really want to thank our amazing finance director, Nathan Tuth, and the whole team on finance. Let me just say, they've been operating, yay, Nathan, on very little sleep. We've been here around the clock every night, night after night. And I want to thank my incredible senior team, Miguelina Camilo, Jonathan Shutt, Simone Jones, Bob Tipperwell, John Tritt, and finally, a special shout out to Paul Shimon and Olivia DeLuca for all of their hard work. After nearly 6 months, give it up for them. After nearly 6 months, our entire team has helped us arrive at a budget that we envisioned from the very beginning. A budget that secures the most ever capital, the most ever expense funding for the City Council, while also demonstrating prudent fiscal responsibility, because it was frankly never a choice between one or the other. A budget that delivers for the most vulnerable New Yorkers, that strengthens the services that they rely on, and that safeguards their financial future. A budget that meticulously focuses on creating a city that is safer, more livable, and more affordable. And that is a budget we can all be proud of. Within it, there are 3 transformative investments that we are particularly excited to highlight because they will meaningfully tackle the affordability crisis. This crisis is not merely crushing the people of the city, but it is oftentimes pushing them entirely out of the city. So with a substantial investment to sensibly expand housing vouchers, we are helping to keep thousands more families in their homes and out of the shelter system. Yet more than simply the investment, we reached a transformative agreement on city FEPs with the administration. They have agreed to drop the lawsuit against the council to engage in a settlement that includes a new bill that the Council will be passing today. This new bill creates a fiscally responsible structure for housing vouchers that contains costs, but above all, protects thousands more vulnerable New Yorkers. Affordable homes alone, however, are not enough because when New Yorkers leave for the day, the cost of getting around the city can become an overwhelming burden. That's why we are so thrilled to say we've expanded eligibility for fair fares to residents earning up to 200% of the federal poverty level. This is the largest expansion of fair fares in council history. Specifically, that means for nearly 1.3 million working New Yorkers, we are making public transit more affordable. These are New Yorkers who rely on subways, buses, and paratransit to get to work in the morning, to make it to school on time, to access all kinds of opportunities, and for whom this expansion shrinks a significant expense. A more affordable fare makes a big difference, and it's a difference we are so excited to be able to deliver on. These wins provide vital short-term benefits, but we have our eyes on the long term as well. We are thrilled today to announce that we are enhancing a program called NYC Kids Rise that will, for the first time ever, provide a college savings account with $1,000 to every public school kindergartner. This will be the nation's largest universal college savings program in the country, and the impact of a college savings account lasts long after students receive their diploma. This can be used for vocational school, it can be used for a 2-year community college or a 4-year college. Studies show that if you get that ongoing education, that individual will earn almost double the wages over the course of their lifetime as you would solely with a high school education. This is simply one of the most effective ways we can truly address income inequality. So we are not simply investing in the future of our children, but also in the future of our great city. These investments are only 3 of the many priorities we successfully fought to include in this budget. We fought for mental health support, for swim safety initiatives, for home-delivered meal programs. We fought for our children to bolster their opportunities at a good education and for our seniors to help them age in place with dignity. We fought to fully fund our libraries at the highest levels the libraries have ever received, and for HPD's capital increase to build 100% affordable housing on top of some of the libraries, which has been a big council priority. And because our city is the world's cultural capital, we're investing an additional $20 million in our cultural institutions. To support Black homeownership, we've secured more than $5 million in funding for deed theft prevention programs and legal counseling. And to support the management of safe and clean communities, we are restoring $14.4 million in baseline funding for our parks and almost doubling the number of personnel who clean vacant lots.
That's great.
Our budget will also provide a new pathway to justice. We just announced that our city council employee, Rafael Rubio, who was wrongly detained by ICE for over 158 days, is now back here at the City Council. He was released on bond thanks to a program the Council has funded for over a decade, and we are so proud to have fully restored funding for a range of legal service providers to do that vital work. Even with these life-changing investments for millions of New Yorkers, we have ensured that our city is on firm financial footing. Additionally, as something we've advocated for from the start, as the mayor said, we are thrilled that our agreement sets aside over $300 million in additional funding for the city's rainy day reserves. That's because we believe it is our duty to the people of our city to deliver a balanced, rational, and responsible budget, not just for next year, but for many years to come. And this budget is not one that we could have achieved without the administration either. We are aligned on a number of key priorities, as you've heard today. The mayor and I have come together in the spirit of collaboration with the shared interest of wanting what is best for our city, and that is the essence of a handshake. This budget is a win for New Yorkers who can now travel to work without worrying about the cost, who can return home without fearing that they might soon get evicted. It's a win for New Yorkers whose aspirations for themselves are eclipsed only by their aspirations for their children. It's a win for New Yorkers who deserve affordability, stability, and opportunity, and a government devoted to delivering all three. These are only wins in the budget because at the end of the day, we are one team, and the city is our home. I look forward to adopting the budget. Thank you to everyone who made it possible. And I now want to turn it over to our incredible Finance Chair, Linda Lee. And let me also recognize that we've been joined by Councilmember Purina Sanchez, Councilmember Oswald Velez. Okay. And now our Finance Chair, Councilmember Lee.
Thank you so much, Speaker Menon. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor, as well as our amazing OMB staff, as well as our amazing finance staff, and Nathan Toth, and all of your team. It is such an incredible day today to be here passing this budget. And throughout this budget process, the City Council has remained steadfast in identifying savings and new revenue opportunities, maintaining a disciplined approach to fiscal management in the face of a budget deficit and an ongoing affordability crisis. From the outset, the Council believed it was possible to achieve a balanced budget without cutting the essential services New Yorkers rely on, drawing from the rainy day funds, or imposing significant property tax increases. And as Finance Chair, I have witnessed this Council fight tirelessly to deliver a budget that not only protects the city's long-term fiscal health, but also makes meaningful investments in programs that improve the lives of New Yorkers. As the Speaker mentioned, this budget includes an investment in programs like City FEPS, Fair Fares, New York City Kids Rise. And these are programs that will help families prepare for the future, create new opportunities for the next generation, and tackle the issues of affordability. Through responsible fiscal stewardship, we have protected and invested in the cornerstone and lifelines of our communities, and just wanted to highlight a few, which some of were mentioned already. And for our parks, which I know our council loves parks. Woo! Yay! We have allocated $14.4 million, as mentioned by the Speaker, to restore funding to FY26 levels, on top of other priorities to ensure adequate staffing and maintenance of our green spaces. And our libraries, as mentioned also, the Council has added an additional $1 million on top of the baseline funding to ensure that we keep 7-day service for New Yorkers who rely on these institutions. And mental health, which is a very special area for me personally, there were also some big investments in our mental health services. And this is evident in the funding of our city's ACT and IMT programs, which are funded at $4.5 million and $11 million respectively, as well as the step-down mobile treatment teams. These are very, very difficult services where they are doing incredible work on the ground, trying to reach people with severe mental illnesses who are homeless and place them into services. So they are doing God's work. And by expanding our city's treatment teams that provide high-intensity wraparound services to individuals experiencing crisis, we are limiting the contact these individuals have with our criminal justice system and closing that revolving door. And our city's mental health response is rooted in compassion to ensure that individuals receive the quality care that they need in their time of crisis. And additionally, our city restored $2.5 million in funding for the crisis respite centers, bringing them back to the FY26 levels. And these evidence-based programs, staffed by clinicians and trained peer specialists, provide compassionate, community-based care for New Yorkers experiencing a mental health crisis. And got to give a shout out to our older adults. This budget, woo, yes. Yeah. So I'm getting there too. This budget also fights for our oldest New Yorkers. Yes. For our oldest New Yorkers, those who built this city, but too often face the threat of food insecurity. And the council secured $12 million to increase the reimbursement rate for nonprofits to provide culturally competent home-delivered meals 7 days a week. I got to make sure my Korean grannies get their rice and their seaweed soup, and of course that we get the halal kosher meals that everyone deserves. And while more work remains, I'm proud that this budget takes an important step towards ensuring that no older New Yorker has to worry about where their next meal will come from, and we should be giving them the dignity that they deserve because they sacrifice so much. And of course, as mentioned by our speaker, we're reaffirming our commitment to protecting New Yorkers and ensuring that every community is treated with dignity and respect. And just this last week, we welcomed back our colleague Rafael Rubio, who was detained by ICE for 5 months following what should have been a routine appointment. And this case has highlighted the need of why we are restoring $86.4 million for nonprofit providers delivering immigrant legal services. Because as we know too well, every case is different and some are much more complicated and involved. So we need to make sure that we're giving our legal service providers what they need. And in closing, the Council has fought for and will continue to fight for investments that expand opportunity, address affordability crisis, and protect our most vulnerable neighbors. This budget demonstrates that fiscal responsibility and compassionate governance are not competing priorities. We can balance our books while making meaningful investments in the people we serve. And that is why responsible stewardship, that is what responsible stewardship looks like, and that is what New Yorkers deserve. And on top of thanking, of course, our finance team, as coming from the nonprofit sector, I got to give a shout out to all of our advocates, providers that were outside City Hall, helping to guide us on what initiatives were important for New Yorkers. And a lot of those conversations happen loudly outside as well as quietly in the halls of City Hall. So I just wanted to give them a special shout out as well. So thank you all so much, and we did it.
All right, we're going to take questions for the mayor and the speaker on the budget only. And please try to keep your question to just one to respect your colleagues. We're going to start right over here to the right with Sahaley from City and State.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. How are you?
Hi, Sahaley. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I noticed that the budget doesn't appear to include any increased numbers for NYPD headcount. Can you explain the rationale for that?
Yes. So I've been talking to all agency heads about ways to find savings, and Commissioner Tisch and I were able to identify ways to keep the NYPD headcount at the originally authorized 35,000 while also meeting all of our crime-fighting needs and implementing the new programs that were announced earlier this year.
Thank you. We're going to go to Kelly from New York One and then Melissa Russo.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Kelly.
I wanted to ask you, what's been holding up the budget from what I'm hearing has been the City FEPS fight. You on the campaign promised to expand this program. Why did this come to the final moment if this has been a priority for members of the Progressive Caucus who are supposedly your allies? Why did it have to come to the 11th or 12th hour?
I'm proud that the speaker and I and all of our teams were able to come to an agreement that, as the speaker said, is a win for all New Yorkers. And I've been clear about my support for this program, my support for the intent of delivering for the neediest New Yorkers. And what we announced today is a $175 million investment into helping those very New Yorkers stay in their homes. And we're also announcing that while resolving a lawsuit that the prior administration had little interest in negotiating and frankly even less in bringing to an end. And we do all of this as we write a new chapter in what it can look like to deliver for this city.
Thank you. We're going to go to Melissa from NBC.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. Congratulations on you both on the budget. I would like to know a little more about how you and the police commissioner worked out the headcount issue. But my question is, what is the status of the cash flow issues that your administration was concerned about a couple of weeks ago? And can you update us specifically on how you addressed it? Was there help from the state? Was there some other way that you figured out how to avoid your cash balance dropping too low?
So our partners in the nonprofit sector, as you heard from Finance Chair Lee, deliver vital services to New Yorkers. And we will send all eligible nonprofits the 50% advance payments that would put us in full compliance with the council law. I'm going to pass it over to our budget director, Suleiman, to add some additional details.
Thank you, Mayor. So it's fairly routine that we would look at inflows and outflows throughout the year, look at when tax revenues are coming in, look at where categorical grants are coming in. And so we worked with the Comptroller's Office, we worked with the Department of Finance, and we understood those inflows and outflows and were able to confirm at the end of that analysis that we could, in fact, make that 50% advance payment to nonprofits.
Thank you. We're going to go to Sally from the New York Times.
Oh, we need a thing. Hi, Mayor. Can you tell us, you and the speaker, excuse me, tell us what now happens to the litigation? Does this effectively end it over FEPS? And what is, I know Dora said only one, but if you'll forgive me a second question, what is sort of the longer term plan? Obviously, there are just too many people numerically in shelter who need vouchers, and understanding this is very expensive. Can you talk a little bit about the longer term plan to deal with that crisis?
Yeah, I think to the first point, as you heard the speaker mention, we have not only been negotiating the amount of money that we're going to be investing into a new rental assistance program, but also how to bring to an end what we inherited from the prior administration in a lawsuit with the City Council. And we are resolving that lawsuit with a commitment not only to the intent of the legislation, but also the fiscal responsibility that for far too long has been absent in what City Hall has been doing in years past. And as we've also said, we know that the number one crisis New Yorkers are facing is the cost of living. And we have to address that crisis in a comprehensive manner. That means providing assistance in rental payments. That also means providing a new historic baseline for fair fares. And that also means working together to build more housing than we have seen in this city's recent history. I'll pass it over to our speaker.
Thank you, Sally, so much for the question. So since I became speaker in January, we have fought very hard to work on a settlement, because our position was there is no need to keep this endless, costly litigation against the City Council. We should enter a responsible settlement that protects vulnerable New Yorkers and at the same time contains the costs of FEPS, which we know has ballooned extremely high. We also know from Comptroller DiNapoli's audit of the FEPS program that there were not the sufficient guardrails and accountability that there need to be embedded into the program. So the great news today is that we are announcing, in addition to the expansion of FEPS, and I want to thank Councilmember Sanchez for her great work on this. In addition to the expansion of FEPS, which is something we fought very hard for, a responsible expansion, at the same time, we are doing a new bill that changes the program in the sense that HPD will be administering the new program. The new program takes it from an entitlement program to one that is subject to appropriations.
Thank you. We're going to go to Katie Honan. We've got time for a few more.
Hi, good morning. I have a very specific program-related question. NYC Benefits, which was introduced a few years ago to assist New Yorkers in applying for benefits, and especially at a time when federal benefits are getting cut. Can you confirm that that is in this final budget?
So I'll just pass it over to my budget director.
So NYC Benefits is in. We're happy to follow up with you on the numbers.
All right, I've got time for just one more, and we're going to go to Josie from the Daily News.
Hi, Mayor. How are you? I'm wondering if the...
Sorry, I'm well. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. I'm wondering if you see this fair fares expansion as an acceptable alternate path to free buses. Are you still committed to doing that in 4 years? And then for Speaker Menon, I wonder if you agree with the mayor's sentiment early in his remarks that, essentially paraphrasing here, socialists can solve the problems of capitalism and work to end the mismanagement under Adams. Do you think socialism is the solution here?
I'll say on the first question, when I was running for mayor, I spoke about the importance of raising eligibility to 200% of the federal poverty level. And